Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Things in My Head podcast. I'm here with Lauren again.
Guys.
Super excited. We're lucky that we got to get you twice.
Yeah.
And yeah, we definitely
Twice
need
is
to.
Well, you know, double the ends, double the fun.
I know, right? So we had to have you 2 times. But we have Cecile. She is in the background. She's sitting where I was sitting
in the
first
background.
time. But yeah, we're excited to film a second episode. If you don't know, we always post on Wednesdays. This will be the 9th episode that we're filming. So we just filmed the 8th. We're heading into the 9th. I'm excited, feeling good. And yeah, we were thinking, as we have Lauren here, we're going to talk all about relationships. We're basically the same age and we're in very different places. So I think that's kind of why Cecile wanted us to talk, because we're the same age, kind of grew up the same way, but we're ended up very different. And yeah, if you don't follow us on Instagram, that is Things in My Head podcast on Instagram. We always post when we're going to be like launching a new episode or doing different things on there. So
little snippets,
yeah,
so you
little
can see
snippets.
what you're getting into.
Yes, all the extra stuff. Lauren, the amazing Lauren, is helping me with that because it's my plate is overflowing. And I need help. So I'm just so grateful that you're coming onto the team. So she's officially part of the team.
I love it.
She's a part of the crew. And yeah, I'm excited. Our little team is growing.
I know.
And I love it.
I love it too. And
it feels
honestly,
wholesome.
I listen to a lot of podcasts now. I don't listen to like a lot of like self-help and like mentoring podcasts like mom listens to. I love a lot of pop culture, movies and TV. So the fact that I get to be a part of a podcast is like so exciting for me.
Me too. I love a podcast. That's definitely how I'll like get a lot of work done. It's just like having background noise. But yeah, same. Not a lot of mental health, more so
trying to
more so about like pop culture that's probably running my mind.
Yeah, it's fun though. I love having my mind rotted. But so you were right. So we're both the same age. I just turned 29 in June. You'll be 29 in October. We are both, I would say, artistic people.
Yeah.
We both have been working at the boutique for a long time. You 9 years. I think I'm at 6 right now. And with that, I think we've learned a lot. You've learned a lot about me and my relationships because I'm just like, Jen, you'll never believe what happened. And you're like, and I'm like, oh wait, you have a date tonight? Or like, you're a lot more reserved. And I think not that you're closed off, but you're just a private person. You have very healthy boundaries. And so it's nice when I kind of get a little bit of insight on your dating life. So we're going to talk about that today.
Because you have been in a committed relationship for a long time, but when I met you, it was different. So that kind of segues into what you wanted to talk about at first was dating. And when I met you, you were in something that was pretty committed.
Yeah.
I felt like it was like a very solid relationship when I met you. I was like, oh, these guys are going to be together forever.
Yeah, that was my relationship right out of college.
Yes, it was like a relationship during college. And then you guys broke up and I kind of witnessed all of that. And then I saw you
Can I say my dating phase? I can't remember if I can say the other phase. What do we call I can't remember if I can say it on the podcast. But you know what we were saying. When you're dating a lot, there's a certain phrase that you use for that phase, but you experienced that too.
So I witnessed that and I was like, wow, she gets out. I love it.
Okay, gets out is a lot better than gets around.
Yeah, I was going to say. So it was definitely interesting because I've known you for so long and I've kind of seen all the evolutions of like finding that guy that really is a rock in your life and actually adds value, which is what I love.
Because you've seen men in my life that did not add value. It depreciated a lot of things.
And that's what I feel. I think I need somebody like I just can't hold on to anything that isn't adding value because I think that stems from my anxiety.
But adds stress too.
Yes, it adds stress. And I think it's, with my family and everything, I am always the rock for everyone over there. I'm the glue that holds everything together. So if there's just one more relationship that I need to be like worrying about, then I can't do it.
Like, why bother?
All the plays fall.
And if I may for a second, something that we didn't talk about before this podcast that I think we should touch on briefly, we're both kids of divorce.
Yes.
And I think
I was going to say that affects our relationships so
yes,
much.
I think that's something that I think does affect our decisions, whether it's people that we want in our life or we get into relationships with people. I can say for myself that we don't see what may have went wrong for our parents, and then we're creating this, we're doing the same mistakes, we're repeating the same mistakes. So I think that we have that in common too, that influences our relationship decisions. And that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas like on your spectrum is you're like, I think from a kid of divorce, as you just said, and you have a family and your relationships with them, you're like, why would I put myself in a stressful situation? Whereas from a kid coming from a divorce, I'm like, my family was blended. I hate the term broken family, but I think that's what it's defined as. So you're looking for that. I'm looking for that partner who's going to like give me something that my parents get along great, but unfortunately that's not what they had.
Yeah.
They have now. They might like dad and Cecile have a fantastic relationship. And so I think you want to emulate that, but then you don't want to have to go through that process of, what happened. I was
going to say, because you had a divorce when your parents divorced, it was when you were younger.
And old now too.
Yeah.
But later in my life now too.
Yeah.
But what about you?
It happened when I was like I was like 19, 18.
That's
so I think
really
that it happened
age.
later in life for me, and it happened earlier in life for you. So I think that's why we see it differently. I'm like, I think that it scared me in a way for commitment sometimes, because I saw my mom, she had her whole life planned with somebody, everything, your retirement, where you're going to grow old, all these plans, and now poof, you're single again. You have to figure out all of your life over again, and you have to pick up the pieces, and it is not easy. And I think that affects my relationships. Sometimes I feel like I hesitate to be in a relationship because I'm like, it could end at any moment. It could be like a year from now, or it could be 20 years from now or 30 years from now. You could get I know we say you want to have marriage forever. That's the idea. That's the golden way of thinking about it. But sometimes that's not reality, I feel. And it scares me.
Do you think you would ever, and this might be a little deep, but do you think you see yourself as the marrying type because of those thoughts you have in your head?
Sometimes I do wonder if that is something for me. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm looking for like a partner that I share
like a
my
domestic
life.
partner.
Yeah, like,
which is a huge thing now.
Yeah, a lot of people do it. My roommate is a big believer. She doesn't believe in marriage at all. So we're kind of the same school of mind in that aspect. I'm not like totally done with marriage in my life. I could see myself getting married, but it's not like the end all be all. Like some people, it's a goal. Like, I want that I see that for my life. That is what brings joy. That's what's value to my life. And that is totally okay. That is what some people want. But for me, I just don't. It's like everybody in the world wants it, but I don't see that.
It's not your number one, and which is totally okay. And I think a lot of people do put a lot of value in getting married, but luckily I come from like two amazing women who have said that like you are your own person, and the person that you decide to do life with, they should never complete you. They should complement you. And for me, like I do want to get married. Like no, and I'm not like, oh my God, let me get married, but I do see myself marrying my partner. We've been together for almost 4 years. But it will never be, I will be of more value once I am married. It's like I have made this commitment to be with someone who compliments me, and we do life together very well.
Yeah, I think that if I ever got married, that's what my idea would be.
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
it really is.
I think that that's the way you kind of have to look at it, because I do see a lot. Sometimes you're just kind of doing it because it's what it's expected, and it's not necessarily adding anything, and it's more stressful. So I don't know. I think we got really deep really quick.
We got deep really well. I want it. So they say first comes love, then comes marriage. So let's talk about love. Let's talk before love. Actually, let's talk about dating. I feel like we can have some saucy stories here. So I'm perpetually like always in a relationship. I think that was something that we agreed upon. Whereas you not chronically single. I feel like that's like not. Like, because you've dated before.
I've dated before.
Which I know very little about.
I was going to say, I think that it comes off that way, like chronically single, because I don't outwardly express it, because I feel like you have to earn my you have to earn your way into my life and the people that I care about.
I think that's very fair.
So I'm not just going to bring you around my family, my coworkers, people that respect me, that regard me in a certain way, and then I bring this person and they act foolish and it represents me badly.
Been there.
Yeah, so I'm really protective over the people that I love. So I
love that about you, Jen.
Yeah. So I'm like, I would never want to bring anybody that's gonna like bring people down.
Bring you dishonor.
Yeah, nobody can bring me dishonor. That would
dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow.
Oh my gosh. So I think that that's just like the way that I am, but I do date.
Yeah. Okay. Can I just share really fast? Yeah. Okay. So the most insight I've ever gotten into you dating was Tori's 30th birthday party.
Oh God, here we go.
And we go to Tori's birthday party, and we're going to Midtown, and we have drank quite a bit.
We drank way too much.
We pre-gamed quite a bit, so we go to Midtown, and I'm gonna be honest with you. So we're out and about. Me and Jen are like, wow, like we are the party animals of the group. So we go to, I think it was Wonder Bar, and there was a really cute guy, right? He was talking to us, and Hannah was recently single at this time. And she's like, man, that guy's really cute. Like, will you kind of go introduce me? And I'm like, yeah. And before I know it, Jen's talking to that guy. And Jen's like,
okay, like, see, I don't remember a lot.
Oh, we had a lot of drinks. So,
so
I've seen you in action, Jen. I have seen you in action.
I think that, yeah, maybe you've seen me in action.
Like, have you met Jen?
I was going to say, I don't know. I don't think that I'm forward. I think that was a specific night where
Liquid courage.
Yeah. You guys took too long to get to the house, to be honest, or I don't know what was going on. And I think I was suffering from anxiety. I was like, you know what?
We did not see you sweat.
I'm Ubering to Lauren's house. I'm going to take a little starter drink.
You said
take the edge off.
I drank tequila and played my Nintendo Switch. That's how that was my pregame. And then like us girls are like shots in the apartment.
Yeah. So I think that I was like, I'm gonna take the edge off. I'm gonna do what relaxes me. And then I was like, and then I went there and then we drank more and then it was just even more silly because I don't even know what I was on that night. It was so crazy.
Much fun. I definitely love seeing this side of you. So I know you have boundaries and you are more reserved about your personal life. What has your dating experience been like? What have you loved and what have you disliked about being in the dating world?
Let's see. I think that I love it when I find somebody that I can really stick with, that I can commit, that we're comfortable with each other. And somebody that just kind of takes a load off without asking, I think is really important because I'm the kind of person that does everything. I tend to be like very giving in that way. And then if somebody like does some small stuff for me, like I got you a lunch because you were running out the door, or hey, I washed these dishes, like helpful in that way. That's what usually makes me want to stay in a relationship.
So would you say acts of service, if we're going to talk about like love languages, that sounds like your love language, acts of service.
Yeah. It's like the little tiniest things make my day.
I love that.
Yeah. And then what are yours?
I would love quality time. So for me, when I was in the dating pond, I guess that's what it's called, really just going to do anything. But for some reason I always found myself in like either middle distance relationships or long distance relationships. So I think that maybe is what contributed to the downfall of those relationships. But quality time, I love hanging out with people. I also love words of affirmation. I think that comes from my anxiety. Like your anxiety is always having to get stuff done. My anxiety is being told that I'm loved and appreciated.
Yeah.
And like knowing that, hey, I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
So dating has always been either going to like go do something really fun, or if we can go and sit and have dinner or lunch, we can talk for hours.
Yeah, I think that when you date, I think it's important to sit down and talk. I don't know about you, but I have a couple rules.
What are your rules? Tell me your rules. I got no rules.
When I go on a first date, I will not go to dinner because what if it goes horribly, and it's happened, where it goes horribly wrong and you are stuck eating 3 meals with somebody that you just want to go home.
Okay,
like,
so what is
there's no future here.
What is your go-to then? Because I know movies. Movies is a really bad first date.
Oh yeah, definitely never a movie. But we have to chat. I would always say like, let's just grab either coffee or go to a bar where I know, and then we can just grab a drink.
Yeah.
And then it could be as simple as the date's going really well. Let's go grab food from there. Or the date didn't go well. finish the drink.
Oh,
walk out.
my cat's calling me right now. I gotta get out of here.
I have a code word with my roommate, or she's my best friend, and like I'll text her the code word and she'll know that means call me. She'll say something stupid like, oh my god, I locked myself out of my car, I need you to come get me, something like that. And then
I wonder if the guy's like, oh my god, that she's making an excuse to have to leave.
Probably.
You have amazing friends, by the way.
Everybody, you got to think on his perspective. It's like if I'm not enjoying it, and obviously it's like mutual, like sometimes you just don't hit it off, and that's okay.
And some people are very socially unaware, though. I've met some men where they're like, yeah, we great. And I'm like, I don't know about you.
That's what I feel, because sometimes at the end of the date, you're walking to your car. You're like, I can
set the scene. Yeah. It's dark. The street lights are on. Do you hold hands? Do you not hold hands? Do you kiss? Do you not kiss?
The date went... Think about this. The date has gone totally sideways. You're trying to get out of this situation. They're like, I'll walk you to your car. It's dark outside.
I want you to see my license plate.
I was like, no, Lauren, that's your anxiety.
No, that's my anxiety talking.
I don't want to see my license plate. But so you're like, no. I parked right there. I can see my car.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to walk me. I'm good. And then they're like, no, I'll walk you. And I'm like, okay. So then you walk to the car. Then you're like, okay, I'm just going to get in my car and go and, bye. And maybe a side hug. But then they lean in. Ugh. Yeah, they lean in for a kiss. And I'm like, did this? I always think in my head, did this go well in your mind? Because it didn't feel like it went well in my mind.
Do you ever have to be like...
I wouldn't date me at that date. I wouldn't choose me.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious on... I don't know if they just want to kiss somebody.
I will say, so we're talking about the things that we have disliked about dating culture. I think that's something that's really big, especially in our generation. And maybe it's been with moms as well. But sometimes men, they have one thing on their mind.
True.
And you don't know if, like, especially in the age of like online dating, if that online date is like, okay, maybe if I buy her dinner, if I buy her a drink, we're setting up expectations. Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing that I think we can struggle with at our age.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in here because you asked if it's generational. It is the male.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It's the male nature. It is.
You know the story, so I'll just share it very briefly.
Oh, yes. Please tell the story. Oh, my God.
When your dad asked me, we lived across town. So like 45
middle distance.
And he said I was going to go over to his side of town to have dinner. And so, and maybe I was spending that. I don't know. It was, okay, well, it's going to sound real bad now. I mean, it was fairly early, but I don't know what reason I was coming to his house. And then he asked me, and it was so early, he said, oh, what kind of toothbrush would you like? And it was dead serious.
He wasn't like, what kind of toothbrush do you like?
I assumed I was going to spend the night. So I was like, oh my God, Oral-B.
I thought you were going to say something else when you said oral. Oh, no. These are my parents. Oh, my gosh.
It's
everyone.
infinity.
The cavemen, since the dawn of the cavemen.
Yeah.
So, but I think that online dating has heightened that smash or pass. Like, I hate to get vulgar, but
Yeah, I think that it's toxic in a way, because now it's almost like shopping for a person.
It is.
It's not how you form a relationship at all. They're viewing you based on like a couple attributes that you put on your profile. You're like, I enjoy art and music, and like they see me one-dimensionally on the things on my profile, and then I see them also one-dimensionally from what they say on their profile. So it is hard to kind of break through that and like form a relationship. I've only like done it once where it worked out, and I dated him for like 6 months, and it did end, but it kind of did give me a little bit of hope that there was like, sometimes you can break through it and it can work, but it does involve you getting vulnerable. And that, I think I learned a lot from that relationship, because I was like, you know what? I did have my walls up for a long time. Granted, maybe for good reasons, because we didn't end up being together. But yeah, I think that now I can like lower my walls a little bit and know that it's not going to like totally ruin my life. You know?
Ask y'all a question?
yeah.
Okay, so I see this all the time. Maybe y'all are in your late 20s, so I kind of see this more in the earlier age because of Brooke and her friends, or like some of the people that would have come through the boutique, our staff that's a little bit younger. And then Lauren, you kind of mentioned it when you talked about your past relationships. So my question is, why do you think you continue to date guys that when you're in it, you already feel like they don't add value, but you continue to? Or has your definition of value changed over the course of dating?
I think it's a mixture of both because, I mean, I think it's no secret, or maybe it's a secret for our viewers, but before Tyler, I was in a relationship that mom and dad like did not approve of. And you're kind of in the moment and you're like, oh, but like you don't know him like I do. And you almost get a bit of determination as well. And you start sacrificing the things that maybe don't sit right with you or that annoy you. And then you get out of the relationship and you're like, oh my gosh, all the signs were there. So I think it's a bit of hard-headedness and determination and just the want and the need to make love work. So that's my answer.
So how do you, looking back then, I don't know, because I see a lot of girls that do this, right? That we can see it, anyone can see it.
Oh, we have been in multiple scenarios.
So, but they really, so that's why, and for those that are listening, it doesn't matter what age you are, really.
Yeah.
You know? So, and because I know the scenarios you have been in particular, because you really did fight hard, and I understand that, and sometimes I see it with, other daughters I have.
Daughters.
So, and that's the question now that you're out of, like, let's say that one. Like, was it to prove your parents wrong?
I think so.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And is that just overcome with youth? And I guess it's all, I'm answering my own question just knowing my girls at least, is that, and that everyone wants to be loved, right?
And I think we talked about, you're okay with being single, but I think something that I have talked about in therapy, the need to always be in a relationship and like, especially with social media, you're like, oh my gosh, like if I have to change my relationship status and I have to change my profile picture, and then if I have to introduce another relationship, people are going to see that you're just constantly getting in and out of relationships. So you're like, oh, I don't know if I can handle another one. So I'll just make this one work. I'll show them.
Yeah.
But it's, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah. And I think your nature, you're empathetic. You have like a lot of empathy, and I think that that's also something that makes you like want to stay in a relationship, because
and I want to apologize for other people and their weaknesses and their negativity and their maybe not so great aspects about them.
I think people take advantage of that, and I see people like do that, and that makes me frustrated because I'm protective over the people that I really love. So I try to be like, you don't have to do that for nobody.
I love that, Jen. I love you.
But that's how I get, because I feel like I have a reasonable amount of empathy, but when I see somebody being taken advantage and I care about them, that's like a trigger for me.
And we've seen a lot of ladies that we've known mutually that happened to, and it's been really frustrating.
It's a difficult thing, like when you're in it, I think, to like know that you're in that and then pull yourself out of it. It's kind of like hindsight's 2020.
Oh, I had a lot of hindsight. So, I've been in a relationship for almost 4 years now. We just moved in together. Not just moved in. Oh my gosh, we moved in a year ago. No, we just renewed our lease. I'm sorry. So I take that as a good sign. We dated for 2 years, 2.5 years. Then we moved in together at 2.5 years. We're now at 3, if that makes sense. No, 2 years. We're now, and then we got together 3, and now we just renewed our lease. We're approaching year 4. And it's been really nice. I say this, he's gone for 12 days right now in Europe, and I've missed him. Don't get me wrong. I've missed him, but I've actually really enjoyed my alone time. So that's been cool. What do you enjoy about being single? Or do you enjoy it?
I think I enjoy it a little too much sometimes.
Okay.
That's the thing that scares me a little bit, is that I'm so independent, and I'm just an introverted person. That's my nature. So I just don't need to be around a lot of people all the time to feel happy. So I can kind of just like put off relationships. I'm like, I'll get to that. I'll do it eventually. Like I can get to it at another time when I feel like that's what I want to pursue, but it's usually not on the forefront of my mind, because I just always have other things. I mean, the work that we do is so time consuming,
and not everyone can. And I've been in that as well. And sometimes that is something that me and my partner do have disagreements on, is our line of work. I think not a lot of men see women working in small family business or have that entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I get that more so from my family.
Yeah.
They're like that for me. They're like, you work too hard, you work too much, you do too much. And I'm like, I enjoy doing
There's
this.
pride. There is
a
in
sense
it.
of pride of doing and building something.
I mean, there's a whole other podcast we can talk about.
Yeah, that's like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of pride for me in doing it. And if somebody like takes, I'm like a hyper fixation ADHD person. So
Same.
I will zone into my tasks and then sometimes I ignore my partner. And I feel like if I'm not giving my partner 100% of my time, you know, if I'm not giving them a decent amount of time, not 100%, but you know, like the normal amount that a person in a relationship should be given and treated right, I tend to work more and ignore that person. And I hurt people's feelings.
Interesting.
So I feel if I'm not, I guess, mentally ready to be in a relationship, then I take myself out of that situation. I'm like, you know what? It's not a good time for me to be in a relationship. So I do that. But I'm working on myself and, you know, I'm open to it.
Here, just because we're talking about entrepreneurship and then the partner with that, have you seen that? Maybe it's on the accounts that I follow. It's like a lot of entrepreneurship or boss women type of Instagram accounts. But it's true. There's one that goes around that says the only option for a entrepreneur, successful woman, or something like that is either a partner that's supportive or no partner at all. And I say that because I'm listening to you girls and I think about myself, you know. Like,
And my dad.
yeah, because I'm very driven. I do my own thing. I've started many companies. And I think about your dad. And I think in all of them that not once, because I do get zoned in, right? And I get very like, I'm doing what I'm doing. And so he not once has ever like gotten upset with me, even my crazy ideas, you know, talked about the time it takes. And so I say that to say that when you talk about that, Jen, it is about the right partner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I also see other entrepreneur friends that I feel so bad because they don't have the support, you know, and that's why a lot of times they fail. Is because if you don't have the support at home, then obviously you feel in the middle.
Yeah.
You know? So I just thought of that when you were talking about that.
Yeah, and I tried get into a relationship, make it work. I gave that school of thought a chance at one point, and it was during when I was learning web development, and I was like really upfront. I was like, this is going to take a lot of my time, and I have to do well in this. Like, this costs a lot of money, and there's just a lot riding on this.
You set your priorities straight.
Yeah, and I was very, very upfront. Like, the very first date, I was like, because it went so well that I was like, I just want you to know that I'm entering this and it's going to take a lot of time away and I'm going to have to just focus. And like, that does mean holidays are spent working on this. That's any time off.
Because that was during the holidays, right?
Yeah, it wasn't during the holidays, but like 4th of July was kind of like the biggest blow up of the whole thing. I just decided not to go to the 4th of July cookout. I was like, I was in a team meeting for like 5 hours. I was exhausted afterwards with more things to do. And instead of being supportive, he was not being supportive.
Oh,
he was upset, and it hurt his feelings that I didn't want to spend time with his family, that I didn't want to go. He was making it seem like I didn't want to go meet his family, but I was like, it's not that. It's just that I can't right now. I feel like my mind is a little frazzled and I wouldn't be giving my best foot forward to meet your parents, which I think is a really, really important. I'm glad that you want me to meet them and that warms my heart. But if I don't put my best foot forward, it's going to go like a disaster zone. Like, that's just going to make me have way crazy anxiety. It could spiral me into a depression, which at that time I could not handle because I'm trying
on top of everything else.
Yeah, the program was so intense.
And I know I really do want to have an episode now where we talk about, you know, establishing a business and also what it takes to work in not a corporation, because that is something that my partner and we do disagree on. He can be very understanding, but then now that we're living together, I don't think we argue about it as much now that we are living together. It was more so when we were not living together. And then he was in a different job where he wasn't as busy as he is now. So we are like working very successfully together. But when it was a topic of discussion, I was like, if I was a nurse, I'd be working crazy hours. If I was maybe like a first responder in general, if I was a teacher, I'd get home at like 3:00 and have to grade papers. Like the work doesn't end when the school bell rings. So, and not every job is 9 to 5. So like you gotta come to terms with what you as a woman want to accomplish, what you want to do with your time, and how you want to be successful, and finding a partner who is okay with that.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the detriment of like every single relationship in my 20s has been you work too much and you're zoned in. When I was in school, I was very locked into that.
Can I interrupt here?
Yeah.
I wonder, because I'm listening, you say just that comment as I tune back in, and do you think they say that to men? They do not. They would never tell a man that they work too much.
Yeah, that is true. That's actually kind of scary.
I think, and I don't think it's not always is it ill intention. I just think the same way we just talked about expectations of romance, I think the same thing is with roles, with gender roles. I think it's something that's just sometimes hardwired, and that's just the sad truth. And I think that's as our job as women, and the other side of the partner is to, because you could be dating the perfect man, but there's going to be things that are hardwired in men, and there's going to be things that are hardwired in women that sometimes we have to undo, whether that is just nature or nurture, where we've come from, how our parents have treated us, how our siblings have treated us, and previous partners.
True.
You know, and I also feel a lot of this, even though when you're the same generation, it doesn't matter, but generational, because you think of Dad and I, we work all the time.
Yeah.
24/7 when needed. Not like we're working 24/7, but there is no time clock in and out, and we're not counting hours.
Yeah.
And that's just how we work in our generation.
It's but then it's so funny. Like, luckily I'm not in this situation right now with my partner, but you have like the situation where you could like, oh, you work too much. But then I've seen where people have been like, oh, you work too much and you don't help around the house. Like I've known people that have.
Yeah, that would be a non-starter.
You'd be surprised.
That would be a
You'd
deal
be
breaker.
surprised, but it's like it happens.
Yeah, that definitely happens for sure. Like, I think that my mom is my biggest role model in that.
Your mom's awesome.
Yeah,
I want to be. I've only met your mom once and briefly, but she sounds like a great gal.
She's a really great gal, and she worked so much. She worked in oil and gas. She was bilingual. She went to school. She got her associates from HEC. And back then that's not like something that you did all the time. So she was really proud of that. And she worked a full-time job and raised 3 kids.
Yeah.
And my dad just wasn't like a kid person. So she really did do it like on her own, picking us up, sending us off, getting the lunches ready, the outfits, the back to school stuff. I wanted to do swim team. I was the only one that was like, I'll do a sport. And my mom you had to volunteer to be on the swim team. Like, they wouldn't let you be on if you didn't volunteer. Your parent didn't volunteer. So she had to get off of work early, come straight, sit outside. It's super hot. She hated it, but she did it because that's what I wanted to do. And she always let me do the things that I wanted to do. And I just saw somebody that was super independent, super strong. And I think that rubbed off on me.
I can see it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Well, is there other thoughts that you have on dating? Like any icks or okay, so like let's say you're single right now, as far as I know. Let's just short list the things that you would want in a perfect man for Jenn.
Oh God, this is funny. Me and my roommate just talked about this because she was like, we're gonna manifest your man.
Manifesting does work.
She was
really
like,
does.
we're gonna put it into the universe. She's
no witchcraft, Jenn.
She's very that like kind of like not very religious, more
Understood.
like spiritual kind of thing. So she's
Spiritual,
like,
I like that.
we're gonna put this into the universe.
I'm a spiritual person as well. Yeah.
We're gonna burn the incense.
Jennifer, that's witchcraft.
Hey, incense is in the Bible.
Okay.
Thou shalt not.
Oh no.
It's okay. We're good.
Okay, it's still recording. But I think perfect man, rapid fire, I guess, would be somebody that takes the load off without asking.
Yeah,
I think that's super important.
Acts of service.
Kindness.
Okay.
And then they have to be passionate. Mm-hmm. They have to have something that's
passionate.
Yeah. Passionate lover. Both passions, actually.
Both passions.
But yeah, they would have to have their own hobby or what they
their own life. They
Yes.
we should have our own lives. Like
Yes.
like the partner A and partner B should have their own lives, and then they meld together perfectly.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like they have to have like their own passions, whether that's a hobby or whether that's what they do for a living. But they have to have something that is like, this is what drives me, you know. I work at this, you know, I work with you guys. I work at a boutique. I work on this. But my ultimate goal would be to be an artist. I would like my
Absolutely.
partner to
You're so
have
talented.
some type of dream.
And do you think you would want your partner to be artistic?
It
And
doesn't have to be.
They
They
don't
could
have to
love
be
model
artistic?
trains, and they would want to. They want to build every train.
Someone
track
who
in the
really
United
likes
States.
trains, like model trains. Okay,
Yeah.
that's hot.
Yeah. It could be anything, but it just has to like, I want that same love for something external that I have. I want them to also be able to experience that, because then we will relate,
Yeah.
even though it's not the same thing. Yeah.
Can I add a couple things and see if you want to add it to your list?
Okay.
I think people forget. This is why I'm saying this.
Mm-hmm.
Is would you want to add someone that truly has emotional intelligence?
Oh,
That's very
yeah.
important.
I think so. I think you have to match your emotional intelligence. Like my intelligence emotionally has to be like his as well, I think, to make it work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you're somebody that's above you is always going to be above overthinking you, and somebody below you're going to always be trying to pull up. So you guys gotta
and then
be on level ground.
It's because something that we've had to learn in our relationship between me and Tyler is that his version of sad and my version of sad are two very different things. So I've had to learn how to cope because he doesn't get sad often, but I've learned how to cope with that. And I get sad very often. Like I do struggle with depression, and he knows like these are the steps we need to take, or this is how I can be there. This is what I can provide or not provide if I don't need anything, and I just need to go through it. And I think that's so important, of like knowing differences in different emotions, and how we just talked about in the last episode about my anxiety might be different than your anxiety, and your anxiety might be different than Cecile's, and vice versa. You got to have a partner who can decipher that and knows how to handle it.
Yeah.
That's true, but I just want to make sure, like, you know what I mean, is because we've seen so many people who you don't know well enough, or they get into it real quick, and you do not see, like, how they react upset or in a crisis or something like that is not emotionally intelligent, meaning they fly off the hook, they cannot keep their emotions in, they have a hairline trigger.
Yeah.
That's fair too.
That would scare me the most. So I think I probably subconsciously look out for that, and just by like going on more dates and experiencing their personality and kind of figuring out. I'm a very observant person. I observe like everything, that's like every little thing that people do. I'm like looking at it and trying to like internalize it. I'm like, okay, they sat next to me. That must mean a reason. They might like my shirt. I might look inviting to them. Like you don't just, nobody does anything for no reason. So I try and like decipher that all the time, I feel. And I think that would be a quality I would look in somebody else. That would be nice to have. Yeah.
And I think because, and I say this as we're talking about for anyone looking into getting into a relationship, is I always say, because we see it too often these days, that you need, I would say, a year before you get real serious with someone.
Yep.
Because you can see a lot of seasons then, not weather seasons, their seasons, because you can out-weather any toxic, or you can at least start to identify toxic traits of narcissism, control, abuse, anything like that, at least in that year before you get bonded with them, either trauma bonded or something else that because a lot of love bombing goes on in that first year, first few months before it shifts. And so I say that because it's a real thing. I'm not going to take it down long, but for those that are listening and we are talking about love and wanting to be in a relationship, you have to be very careful of that you don't want it so much that you blind yourself to the things, because we talked about this, Lauren, even with other, in general, is we want love so much that we will blind ourselves to want to prove that other people that love us are wrong. So, anyway.
And then on that topic as well is not like love bombing happens in the first couple of months. You know what we did different this time? Me and my partner it was the first time it's ever happened, but we went 3 months of like not even being like official. Like we were dating, like we were not boyfriend and girlfriend, like we had boundaries and stuff. And I think I did not even like have him meet my parents until like the beginning of that 3rd month, and then we made things official by the end of that 3rd month. But I think that's what worked out was, I think before I was like, one date we're boyfriend and girlfriend, or 2 dates we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Like I went 3 months. And I think that's like, sometimes if you jump into things, sometimes you know, but for me personally, I needed a second to just stop, get to know someone. And 3 months is still a short time, but it was the most I ever gave myself to really know someone before saying, yeah, I want to be with this person. And I think I even told mom, I was like, it was kind of unexpected because we had a really good friendship, Tyler and I. And then I was like, wait, hold on. I think I really like this guy, actually. Like, I want to be with him. And it took me that time to just realize that.
Well, I think the difference is because Dad and I went quick too, but the difference, I guess, in this generation is because you guys are meeting people on these apps instead of through people that you know and have a reference point.
Like Dad's cousin, Laura.
Right, so I knew Dad. So she would have told me if something like was wrong, or I could go to her and ask, or I could see. But the difference is because, between how social media is these days that you guys are dealing with, and it's easy for instant gratification, and a lot of these personalities are, I don't know if we'll say more, but we're more aware of, and the difference is that you have no reference point to the people you're dating these days a lot of times.
Yeah, that is true. I noticed that a lot because you're kind of going in blind. You're meeting all their friends for the first time and things
Their
like
family.
that. Their family. So
Getting adapted to their work schedule or lack of work schedule for some
true.
exes.
So
Meeting them in the sense that they're his friends, as in like for Dad and I's instance, it was his cousin, but she was my boss. So it's not like I knew her through him. Therefore, she would have told me, or would have thought she would have like warned me or something.
Yeah.
Or I could go to her versus you're meeting his family, the boyfriend's friends and all that, but already through the filter of him.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, then versus
he's
online.
letting you see what you're not seeing everything. He's filtering it. And I think that that's vice versa. Like I'll filter my life as well until there's a trust, really. There's a way that I can be like, okay, you've I guess earned it. Yeah, I would say
I think earning is a great way to put it.
yeah, earned it and then doing it. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was good.
I know, I get to learn so much more about Jen. Like every time I hang out with you outside of work, and I think you know so much about me. So it's really nice to get your perspective on something that I think lies so heavily, whether we're dating or not dating. It's going to be present in our life. So, well, that was Things in My Head podcast. This will drop on YouTube and Spotify. You can watch here on YouTube. You can stream and listen on Spotify. We upload every Wednesday. We would love to curate episodes in advance so we know what our topics are. So with that, we would love to have like mailbag episodes, ask you guys questions about what you want to hear on the show. And if you know the topic, you have your questions answered or stories are shared. So you can do that by either DMing us on our Instagram at Things in My Head Podcast, or you can email us at thingsinmyheadpodcast@gmail.com. Anything else, Jen?
When we release these episodes, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to subscribe, follow us. We do respond to all the comments. There's just a few usually, so I'm able to respond to everybody. So if you have something that you want to say, any feedback or any episodes that you'd like to see, put them down below because we read them and we do respond.
And also reach out to us as well. I forgot to mention this, that you can get texted when episodes drop as well. If you are a follower on the boutique, you get texted when we go live. You can now get texted when we drop an episode. So if you would like to sign up for that, please let us know.
Yeah, and that's everything. We'll see you guys very soon on Wednesdays.
Bye guys.